Hello guys, this is your friend Shinobi Addict 2.0 and we are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Banished Naruto Built a Crimson Empire and Harem with Anko, Ino and Koyuki Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start the fanfic. A groan sounded from under the bundle of covers as a slender arm snaked out from under them and began to rummage around on the dresser to stop the tortuous sound coming from the young woman's alarm clock, signaling the start of another day. However, today was going to be different from all the others. Today was the day that young Ino Yamanaka could finally stop acting. A day she had been waiting for the past 4 years. Finally finding the button to silence the torture device, the blonde teen threw off her blankets, exposing her form. A lingering smell of wafting up into the air from the previous night's activities. Throwing her legs over the edge of her bed, she stood up and stretched out her sore muscles, ignoring her state of undress as she went through her cycle of light stretches to loosen up her sore muscles, especially the ones in her crotch area. A faint smile on her face as she remembered the events from last night. Glad we put those silencing seals up, otherwise, pretty sure my father would have broken down the door with all the noise I was making last night. She mused, giggling lightly to herself. Her and her fellow blonde had gone for multiple rounds in the sack the previous night, right under her parents' noses. Done with her stretching, Ino quickly made her way to the bathroom that was connected to her room. When she had begun to show signs of puberty, Inoichi had insisted on his daughter having her own bathroom and had spared no expense to have the bathroom added to her bedroom. Sure, it took away some of her closet space, but she felt it was a fair trade, since having her own bathroom gave her a sense of privacy. Turning on the water, she adjusted the temperature to her liking before stepping in, allowing the warm water to cascade over her body, further relieving the tension in her muscles that her stretching had missed. Letting out a soft groan as the warm water worked its magic. As the water fell over her, Ino thought back to last night's other noteworthy event, while she washed up. Mizuki, her former academy instructor, had attempted to steal the scroll of seals last night and had even attempted to frame Naruto for the crime, going as far as to henge into the young blonde man, though the silver-haired Chunin had not expected that both the young man he had intended to frame and Ino would be waiting for him. Nor did he see the ninja wire stretched out in his path until it severed his head from his body, not even knowing who had killed him. While Naruto had grabbed the scroll, Ino had quickly set to work, altering the dead mon's memories so that when her father inevitably checked the fool's last memories, he would see Orochimaru killing Mizuki. Smirking at the flawless theft of the sacred scroll of seals, Ino shut off the water and stepped out of the shower, setting to work drying herself off before she slipped on a comfortable pair of panties with a matching bra. Moving to her bed, she knelt down and pulled out a long suitcase of some kind, before dropping it on her bed and opening it. Once opened, she gazed at the container's contents. A majority of the storage space was taken up by a black and purple armor-like outfit. Chakra armor to be exact. Without hesitation, she slipped into the outfit. Before long, she had finished changing into the chakra armor. A special gift given to her by her lover to ensure her safety and well-being. A sleek black and purple outfit, with disconnected sleeves that showed off her shoulders and upper arms. The outfit itself hugged her curves perfectly, allowing them to be more pronounced than usual. A belt full of storage pouches for an assortment of gear and other necessities. Her forearms were covered with elbow-length gloves, with arm guards protecting the back of her hand and forearms. Engraved in them are intricate carvings and seals. Once fully dressed in her new outfit, she reached in case and brought out one last object. A single necklace with a sun-like design painted a crimson-red color. Smiling, she placed the necklace around her neck before closing the case and stowing it under her bed once more. Doing a final check on her chakra armor, she channeled her chakra into her armor, activating it. Satisfied, the blonde kunoichi dropped the seals placed around her room and left. Morning, Daddy. Going somewhere? Ino asked as she entered the kitchen, seeing her father about to head out the door. Yes, Hokage-sama has summoned me to check something out, shouldn't take long. He replied before he turned to bid his little princess goodbye, freezing up as he saw the outfit she was wearing now. Princess, what are you wearing? Quote, oh, this. The blonde girl asked innocently. This was a gift. You didn't think I was going to start my career as a kunoichi in my usual academy cloths, did you? Oh, a gift from a certain boy, perhaps. Her mother inquired with a mischievous tone in her voice. She knew her mother was implying the boy she had pretended to be a fangirl for the past 4 years. Their mere thought of her being involved with the supposedly loyal Uchiha made her stomach lurch. Sure, while the raven-haired teen was attractive and definitely skilled, he had already displayed the red flags of being mentally unstable. It didn't help that Sasuke had refused any and all counseling from her father to help him cope with the massacre of his clan at his brother's hands. Maybe. Ino replied coyly with a shrug, deciding not to give anything away just yet. Anyways, I need to go, don't wanna be late for team assignments. Grabbing a piece of toast, she kissed her parents on the cheeks and disappeared out the door before they could ask any more questions. The main one being who in particular gifted such an expensive set of armor to her. While her mother was quick to jump to conclusions, her father would dig for a solid explanation until he was satisfied. That armor looked very expensive. Inoichi noted out loud, unaware of its exact origins. Which didn't sit well with the overprotective father. Oh, leave it be, dear. His wife commented with a giggle. You know there is only one boy her age that could afford something like that. Inoichi merely frowned at his wife's words. Sasuke may have the money to spend on such a gift, but the lone Uchiha did not have the kindness within him to do such an act. No, this gift came from an unknown entity. Anyways, I best not keep Hokage-sama waiting. Inoichi commented before disappearing out the door, pushing the thoughts and questions about his daughter's mysterious benefactor into the back of his mind to inquire about later. Academy. Ino couldn't help but smirk as she walked down the hallway leading to her designated classroom. Countless students would gawk at her, not recognizing her at first. Though while the blonde was amused, she paid them little mind. There was only one person she wanted to see right now. One Naruto Uzumaki. Rounding the corner, she entered the classroom and stopped with a frown. Her fellow blonde's seat remained empty. Looking for someone, Kiroi Bara. A male voice spoke up from behind her, causing her to smile. Turning around, Ino got her first look at Naruto since last night, but that didn't really count. He was still wearing that god-awful orange jumpsuit he supposedly loved last night. Now though, it was replaced by a similar Uking chakra armor set that she was wearing. Smiling, she jumped up and wrapped her arms around the boy's neck, while at the same time wrapping her legs around his waist, smashing her lips against his in a passion-filled kiss. Much to the shock of the entire class, whom was now stunned into silence as they watched the public display of affection play out. What the hell is this? One Kiba Inuzuka exclaimed, shaking himself from his shock. Hell, if you were going to give up on that prick Sasuke, you could have at least went after a real alpha male, like me. Both blondes merely rolled their eyes at the feral teen's arrogance as they broke their kiss, but ignored him nonetheless, much to his frustration. Paying no mind to the rest of the newly graduated genin, Naruto took his seat and leaned back as Ino proceeded to straddle his waist and lean forward. Laying her head on his shoulder as the blonde teen proceeded to trail his fingers lightly across her back, earning a content sigh from the blonde woman. So, any word on what teams we are going to be on? Ino asked quietly. Well, The old man approved to have his son reform the Ino Cho team, so that's where you're going. Naruto replied, earning a groan from his lover, though it only caused Naruto himself to chuckle lightly. You knew it was an extremely likely possibility since the three of you were graduating in the same class. Still doesn't mean I have to like it. Ino pouted. She knew it would be highly unlikely, but she had hoped that her and Naruto would have been placed on the same team together. Think of it this way. The blonde boy smirked. We can conduct business in two different locations at once. True. She smiled. Let me guess, you're going to get put on the illustrious Team 7. Correct. Naruto nodded. Our little kitty cat informed me that the team will be made up of myself, Sasuke, and Sakura. With Kakashi Hatake as our sensei. Ha! Beat you this time, Ino Pig. A voice screeched out from the doorway, only to realize that no one else was with her like there usually was. Looking across the room, Sakura let out a gasp of surprise as she saw her former friend and rival straddling the lap of the dead last of the class. Congratulations, forehead. You finally won the race only you were competing in. Ino grinned as she raised up from her spot on top of Naruto, much to Sakura's shock. What is this? Sakura stammered. Why the hell are you all over Naruto, baka? Just because you realize that Sasuke-kun will never look at you doesn't mean you had to jump to the dead last. Quote. At this, Ino couldn't help but laugh loudly at the Pinket's proclamation, sitting up into a sitting position while still on the blonde's lap. Yeah. About that forehead. The blonde grinned. I never cared about Uke-chan. My entire fangirl act was exactly that, an act. In fact, I absolutely despise the arrogant prick. He is too selfish and probably can't even see past his own nose. Not to mention, I question his utility. I mean, all these girls throwing themselves at him but he stays fixated on one man. Quote. In his seat, said Sasuke Uchiha was seething in anger at the blonde girl's words. While he didn't care one bit for the pathetic fangirl, and what she did with the doby, she still had no right to look down upon him. But why Naruto, baka? The Pinket asked, clearly confused as to why her now formal rival had chosen the blonde teenage boy. Maybe I know something about Naruto-kun that you don't. Ino replied with a grin, and a mischievous glint in her eyes. And just what would that be? Sakura challenged. Oh, about 10 inches. Came the blonde's blunt reply as Ino laid her head back down on her lover's shoulder. Hearing the Yamanaka heiress's very blunt reply, many of the girls still present in the classroom gained atomic blushes on their faces as her imagination took a perverted detour, most of which surrounding a certain blonde-haired Jinchuriki. After a few seconds, a solid thump could be heard as one Hinata Hyuga had fainted. A small trail of blood leaking from her nose as she sported a slightly goofy smile on her face. Meanwhile, many of the boys in the classroom were feeling rather inadequate due to the blonde girl's statement. In somewhat of a daze, Sakura silently takes her seat. For the first time, not caring if she was seated next to Sasuke or not. Her face still flushed from the remarks Ino had made. Stealing a glance at the two blondes, she couldn't help but feel a sense of envy. Though the feeling didn't last long as her fangirl mentality returned with a vengeance. That baka did something to her, I know it. She mentally exclaimed, coming up with various ways the blonde boy could be manipulating her friend and rival. Don't worry, Ino Pig, I'll find out what that baka did and make him pay. Single quote. Minutes ticked by before their classroom instructor made his appearance, a young man with dark brown hair, almost black actually, tied up into a high ponytail. A scar traveling horizontally across his face, just under his eyes. However, he seemed distracted, otherwise he would have noticed just how silent the classroom already was. All right, class, quiet down. He looked up, now noticing the scene in front of him. Miss Yamanaka, Could you please take your assigned seat? Quote. But I'm comfortable here. The blonde girl whined, earning a chuckle from her blonde lover. She's fine where she is, Iruka-sensei. Naruto commented. Just let us know what our team assignments are. Quote. Iruka couldn't help but frown, but merely shook his head. Technically they were no longer students, so he merely sighed and brought up his clipboard, prepared to read off the teams that had been selected by the Shinobi Council and the Hokage. Iruka-sensei, where is Mizuki-sensei? One of the students inquired, noticing the lack of the Mons partner. Well, they were going to learn about it sooner or later. Iruka thought to himself, before replying. Mizuki was found dead last night. Evidence suggests that he intended to betray the village. Upon hearing this, many within the classroom gasped in surprise, while Naruto and Ino exchanged a knowing look. Each smirking. Now, I am going to call out the teams, and each team's sensei. So pay attention. The scared Chunin stated, eager to get this moving forward. Team 1 will consist of. A few minutes later. Team 7. Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno, and Sasuke Uchiha. Iruka read off, ignoring the loud cheering from the Pinkett. Your sensei will be Kakashi Hatake. Looks like the kitty cat was right. Ino commented in a low voice, drowning out Iruka's voice as he continued to list the reaming teams. Did you ever doubt it? Naruto replied with a grin. Hey, can't blame a girl for wanting to be on the same team as her boyfriend, can you? Sadly, we don't have that influence in this village yet. Naruto commented, keeping his voice low so that only Ino could hear him. Otherwise, I would have us on the same team, with Snake as our sensei. We'll get there. Just gotta be patient. Just like your mother taught us. MMHM. Time continued to tick by, as one by one, each assigned team was called away by their respective senseis. Until only the members of Team 7, Team 8, and Team 10 remained. Though it wasn't missed by those who were observant that the Hyuga heiress was glaring daggers at the blonde whom was still in Naruto's lap, while Kiba could only look on in envy. Silently grumbling to himself that she was wasting her time with a dobe like Naruto, and would do better with an alpha, like him. Team 8 with me. A feminine voice called from the doorway, prompting the class minus Shikamaru who was asleep on his desk, to look at the owner of the voice. A fair-skinned woman with a slender build stood at the doorway. Her long black hair looking untamed as he reached down to her upper back, which only served to make her crimson eyes stand all the more, giving her a truly exotic beauty. Her outfit consisting of a red and white mesh armor blouse with only the right sleeve visible, while her left arm was exposed. Her hands and upper thighs wrapped in a series of bandages. Around her neck, hung a lone silver necklace, with a crimson sun design as its pendant. Coming up behind her was a tall man with brown eyes, olive skin with short black spiky hair and a beard. A cigarette hanging from his lips, much to the raven-haired beauty's annoyance as she waved her hand in front of her face to ward off the smoke. Must you do that inside, Asuma? She complained with a clipped tone, earning an uncaring shrug from the man. Team 10 with me, Asuma spoke, narrowing his eyes at the position Ino was in, whom was now reluctantly getting up from her comfortable position. Meet up at the usual spot? She asked. Yup, I'll meet you there in a few hours. Naruto replied. Smiling, Ino leaned down and gave him one last deep kiss before getting up and following her team out the door. It wasn't missed by Naruto that the smoking man was glaring at him, no doubt due to the Jinchuriki's closeness to the blonde girl, not that he cared. Naruto knew the bearded man lusted after women, since Asuma made frequent visits to multiple brothels throughout Hino Kuni. It was also no secret to the blonde that the man was hardly faithful to his supposedly secret girlfriend, Kurenai. Though unknown to the womanizer, the Genjutsu mistress was well aware of his infidelity. He also knew that his precious yellow rose could look after herself, should the womanizer attempt anything. Speaking of which, Naruto turned his attention to Kurenai. He gave the woman a wink, causing her to blush lightly before following her own team out of the classroom, leaving behind the 3 meters. Embers of Team 7 to await their sensei. While Naruto settled into his seat and relaxed, knowing he still had a few hours to wait. Sakura on the other hand wanted answers. Oi! Naruto baka, she called out, making her way over to his desk. What the hell did you do to Ino Pig? You would actually sound more concerned if you used her actual name. Naruto pointed out, making her scowl further. And what makes you think I did anything to my beautiful yellow rosé? Quote. For her part, Sakura was a little taken back by the blonde's nickname for Ino, finding it a bit cute. Well, clearly you had to do something to her to get her to act that way around you. Sakura accused, shaking off her recent thoughts. I've known her for years, and there is no way she would choose you over someone like Sasuke-kun. At this, Naruto couldn't help but laugh at the pinket's ignorance. Really? Then what's her favorite color? Naruto inquired. Purple. She wears it all the time. Sakura grinned, thinking she was correct, only for Naruto to shake his head. No. Her favorite color is yellow, hence the nickname I gave her, Hiroi Bara, Yellow Rose. He corrected. She wears mostly purple because it's easier for her to accessorize with, since almost everything goes with purple. Now, how about her favorite food? He continued. She's dieting, so she doesn't have a favorite food. Quote. Too bad she isn't dieting. If anything, she actually has a healthy appetite. The blonde replied, earning another scowl from the pinket. And her favorite is ebi fry, udon noodles, with a side of onigiri. Though she does have a love of pocky. Sakura remained silent, wondering if she truly didn't know her former best friend as well as she thought she did. She couldn't help but feel a tad bit guilty that she had ignored her former best friend for so long that she literally was a stranger to her. Face it, Haruno-san, Naruto commented, making the pinket slightly flinch at the formal use of her name, rather the usual, Sakura-chan, she had grown accustomed to him using. Everything you know is a lie. Quote. With Team 10, Asuma could only sigh as he looked over his team that sat spread out before him. Shikamaru had immediately laid down under the tree. Above him was Ino, relaxing on the tree branch while munching happily on a pocky stick, earning a slightly envious look from Choji. The large-boned Akamichi had taken a spot just off to the side of his best friend. As it was, Asuma, Shikamaru, and Choji had already gone through their typical introductions. Likes, dislikes, hobbies, and such. Now, the trio of males awaited the lone female of the group to introduce herself. Now, if this had been the blonde girl they all thought they grew up with, this would have been nothing special. But after the display in the classroom, neither knew what to expect from the freshly graduated Kunoichi. It was as if she woke up a completely different person this morning. Well, as you all know, I am Ino Yamanaka. She began, leaning back against the trunk of the tree above Shikamaru. I like Naruto-kun, flower arrangements, and well, simply enjoying life's little pleasures. I also look forward to greeting each day as a new dawn rises. My dislikes. Ino continued. I absolutely despise that arrogant asshole, Sasuke. But above that, I hate rapists and womanizers, as well as those that choose to remain ignorant about things they don't understand. As for my dreams, right now I am just looking to make a name for myself, and to stand by Naruto-kun's side. Hearing this, the bearded Jonin could only sigh in response. Shikamaru muttered something about troublesome blondes, whilst Choji continued to munch on his potato chips. About that Ino, don't you think you should try and find a better guy to be with? Asuma inquired, offering a friendly smile. I mean, that Naruto kid has a reputation about him. He's not good for you. As that's so? Ino inquired with a knowing smirk. And just who would be good for me? You. Well, I am not suggesting anything. The smoking man tried to play it off, though his body language had told the blonde kunoichi differently. Though perhaps you could benefit more with someone a bit more experienced than a delinquent boy. Ino merely rolled her eyes, seeing right through what her sensei was attempting to do. Though, she knew very well what kind of a man Asuma was, so she knew to expect this kind of talks with him. She also knew this wouldn't be the last time it would be brought up either. No, I think I am fine with Naruto-kun. The blonde shrugged. After all, he takes very good care of me. Asuma gawked at the young blonde's insinuation. Even Shikamaru and Choji were a bit taken aback by the girl's bluntness, despite already having a front row seat to it earlier in the classroom. Shaking off the shock and jealousy, the bearded Jonin moved on to explain the test they were about to do, advising that all three of them come at him as if they intended to kill him. Not seeing the sinister smirk the blonde was now sporting. And go, Asuma commanded, prompting Shikamaru and Choji to split off, leaving only Ino remaining. You know you're supposed to hide, right Ino? Ah, and here I thought you wanted some alone time with me. She taunted, before channeling chakra into her arm guards, causing Tusai to appear in her hands. Gripping the weapons at their center, where the three prongs met between her fingers. Ready or not, here I come. Team 7, a few hours later. 3 hours had passed since the trio were left alone in the classroom, and two of the aspiring genin were becoming increasingly agitated, while the third W. as lightly snoozing in his chair. Still a little worn out from his previous night's actions with Ino. Where the hell is he? Sakura finally exclaimed, her frustration reaching its boiling point at her sensei's tardiness. Unfortunately for a certain blonde, her frustration had shaken him awake, causing him to groan in protest of being robbed of even more sleep. Though this time, in a less than pleasant way. Damn. Naruto groaned as he stood up and stretched. Dobi, what's with the new look? The Uchiha grunted, taking note of Naruto's new change of attire. Gone was his trademark orange track suit. Instead, it was replaced by a nearly skin-tight jumpsuit made from an extremely durable-looking material that at the same time was surprisingly flexible that was primarily black with burnt orange trimmings. Various minor padding and straps along the sides, offering even more protection and other utility uses. A pouch on either leg to hold his shuriken and kunai. Arm and shin guards offered more protection for their proper areas, while fingerless gloves adorned his hands. A pair of jikatabi boots finishing off his new look. This? The blonde inquired, gesturing at his outfit. Just something I had stored away for the right moment. Before the Uchiha could press the issue, the door slid open, revealing a silver-haired man wearing a face mask, while his forehead protector covered one of his eyes. Kakashi Hatake. Naruto mused to himself mentally. Last surviving student of my father, son of the infamous White Fang, and also killed Rin Nohara. Not to mention, he also blames himself for the death of his other teammate, Obito Uchiha. This man carries a lot of guilt, wonder how that will affect him. Team 7. Kakashi nonchalantly inquired. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. Not waiting for a reply, the silver-haired Jonin disappeared via a shunshin in a swirl of leaves. Both Sakura and Sasuke immediately moved to leave the classroom, though when Sakura turned to yell at the blonde to hurry up, she only found that Naruto was already gone. Frowning, the Pinkett quickly followed after her raven-haired crush to the roof of the academy. It didn't take long for the two to arrive on the rooftop, surprised to see Naruto leaning against the railing in a bored manner, whilst their Jonin sensei had his nose buried in his orange book, completely ignoring the blonde genin before him. What the hell? Naruto baka! Sakura exclaimed. How did you get up here before us? Naruto, however, offered no answer, merely smirking as he awaited the first team meeting to get underway. Well now that everyone is here, let's begin. Kakashi stated, closing his book. Let's start with introductions. What do you mean, introductions? Sakura inquired. At this, both Kakashi and Naruto looked at her as if she had a second head growing out of her shoulder. Well, I suppose I can start off and show you how it's done, since it's clear you don't know how to introduce yourself. The silver-haired Jonin commented in a sarcastic tone. My name is Kakashi Hatake. The Jonin began. I have lots of likes and dislikes. I have many hobbies, and as for my dreams, well, never thought about it. In other words, mind your ing business. Naruto chuckled to himself. You're up next, Pinky. Alright. My name is Sakura Haruno. My likes are. She steals a glance at Sasuke and giggles to herself. My hobbies are. Looks again at Sasuke, and giggles even more. And my dream is too. A blush spreads across her face as she squeals to herself, prompting the object of her affection to slowly slide away from her. And your dislikes? Kakashi inquired with a sweat drop. I hate Naruto Baka, she exclaimed. Sit on it and rotate, cunt. The blonde replied while casually flipping her off, causing her to immediately shut up, too shocked to react to his obscene gesture. Anyways, moving on. The masked Jonin instructed, frowning behind his mask. The dossier he was given on his students claimed that Naruto had a massive crush on the pink-haired girl, yet his actions and words completely contradicted that. How about you, Sasuke? My name is Sasuke Uchiha. The raven-haired boy stated. There are plenty of things I hate, but I don't see that it matters, considering there is almost nothing I do like. It seems pointless to talk about dreams, but I do have one goal. Restore my clan and kill a certain man. Sakura looked at the raven-haired teen with stars in her eyes, whilst Naruto had an uncaring look across his face. Your turn, future Hokage. Yeah, about that. I don't want to be the next Hokage, never did. Naruto shrugged. Too much paperwork, and despite supposedly being the strongest in the village, no one respects you. Anyways, Naruto Uzumaki, at your service. Anyways, my likes are pretty straightforward. First and foremost, I love my precious yellow rose. After that, in no particular order, I like Ikiruka's ramen, enjoying life's little pleasures, and greeting each day as a new dawn rises. Quote. Each of the members of Team 7 quirked an eyebrow at the blonde's last statement, as it sounded too specific. What I hate are rapists, those that cannot tell the difference between a kunai and the scroll it is sealed inside of, arrogance, and those that choose to keep themselves blind to what's going on around them. My dreams, well, just want to make a name for myself and make my mother proud. Mother. Kakashi narrowed his eyes slightly. As far as he knew, Kushina was dead. Could he know about his parents already? Single quote. All right. Kakashi stated as he stood up from his sitting position. I think we all have a better understanding of each other. Meet up tomorrow at Training Ground 7 at 5 a.m. for the real test. Best bring all your shinobi gear, but I advise you not to eat breakfast, unless you want to throw it up. Quote. Wait. We already graduated, what do you mean test? Sakura exclaimed in confusion. Hey, did you really think it would be that easy to become genin for the village, Haruno? Naruto smirked. Nah, what we passed was merely to see if we had the potential. Isn't that right, Kakashi-sensei? That is correct, Naruto. The masked Jonin replied after a handful of seconds had passed, thrown off by the blonde's deduction. Alright, see you all tomorrow. Naruto stated as he pushed himself up from the railing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got a date. Not waiting for a reply, the blonde leapt over the railing and to the shock of his team, landed softly on the ground below, before walking off down the road as if nothing had ever happened. Despite the sheer 40-foot drop to the ground below. Alright, Naruto is now officially a wild card. His dossier is entirely inaccurate. Kakashi thought as he watched the blonde disappear down the road. Hokage's office. Hiruzen sighed as he listened to the report given by Inoichi, in regards to Mizuki's murder the previous night when the Chunin had stolen the scroll of seals. It had been as the elder village leader feared. Mizuki had stolen the scroll to give to Orochimaru, only for the snake Sanin to double-cross him and kill him once he received the scroll. This is not good, Hiruzen commented in a somber tone. If Orochimaru has the scroll, there is no telling what he will be capable of. Quote, "What should we do, Hokage-sama?" Inoichi inquired. "For now, we maintain the illusion that nothing is wrong. Meanwhile, I am having Anbu patrols scout for additional evidence to give us a clue as to where he is hiding." Quote, "Very well, Hokage-sama." The blonde man bowed, turning to leave the office only to be met with a bleeding Asuma, who now sported a rather deep cut along his right cheek, as well as multiple other injuries and cuts along his clothing. "What the hell happened to you?" Inoichi inquired, looking over the state the Jonin was in. "Ma team." The bearded man grunted. "Ah, so which one was it? Shikamaru or Choji?" The blonde man chuckled. "Actually, it was your daughter." Asuma replied, shocking the blonde man. "Ino did this to you?" "Exactly." The bearded Jonin grunted. "She is wickedly skillful with those sai of hers, fast and precise, and that armor of hers is almost impenetrable." "The hell did you teach her?" I didn't teach her anything," Inoichi stated, clearly in shock upon hearing his own daughter, his baby girl, was capable of such things. She was so busy chasing after that Uchiha boy that she didn't want to train. Quote. At this, Asuma scoffed. "Uchiha. According to her introduction, she absolutely hates that kid." Asuma scoffed. "Turns out, she has a thing for the Uzumaki brat, and if what Shikamaru and Choji saw in the classroom was any indication, they've been very close for a long time." Quote. Inoichi frowned at this, not liking the fact that his daughter had been keeping secrets from him. Especially when it involved boys. "Hokage-sama, if it isn't too much to ask, could you perhaps check on the Uzumaki boy?" The blonde inquired, turning to the village leader. "I would very much like to know where he is, so that I might have a discussion with him." Against his better judgment, Hiruzen nodded and moved over to a small pedestal that held a single crystal orb. Applying chakra to it, he was surprised when nothing happened. No image, nothing. Frowning, he attempted once more, only for the same result, or rather, lack of results. It appears the orb is no longer functional. The elder man frowned as he stared into the now milky white sphere. "Get him!" A voice cried out from the mob of people that were in pursuit of a young, 5-year-old boy, whom was running as fast as his small legs could carry him away from the mob of angry people. "Why are you doing this?" The boy cried out in confusion and panic. The boy's answer came in the form of a rock sailing through the air and connecting with the back of his head, causing the poor blonde to stumble and lose his balance as he fell head over heels as he tumbled along the cobblestone street. Scrambling as quickly as his small body would allow him to, the young blonde scurried to get away from his pursuers. However, it was not to be. His stumble had given the mob all the time they needed to catch up with their target, as one had gotten ahead of the young boy and delivered a devastating kick to the child's stomach, causing him to cough up a glob of saliva with some blood mixed in with it. Shortly after the initial blow, the rest of the mob begun to join in, hammering blows down upon the child, whom was now balled up in a fetal position, desperately trying to shield himself as best he could from the onslaught of blows that had begun to rain down upon him. As futile as it was. "This is for my brother, you demon scum," one of the mob members proclaimed, as he delivered another kick to the boy's stomach, ignoring the child's pleas to stop. "Damn fox brat," a woman cried out. "My husband died because of you." As the minutes ticked by, The angry mob had grown bored with the use of just their punches and kicks, and had begun to bring in other weapons to continue their assault. Boards, stones, and metal pipes. One of the mob members had even gained access to a kunai that had been discarded carelessly by a shinobi. By now, the child was beginning to slip into unconsciousness, as his own blood pooled around him and stained the cobblestone crimson. His limp body rocking back and forth as more blows landed down upon him. His cries having ceased some time ago. Time to end this once and for all, demon. And avenge our loved ones, and our beloved Yondaime that you stole from us. One man stated, earning shouts of approval from the crowd as he brandished the kunai he had in his hand. Stalking towards the boy as the mob parted to give him easy access to the mon's defenseless victim. However, before the man could get any closer to the boy, a mysterious package-like item sailed through the air before a loud bang echoed throughout the streets, causing the package-like item to explode right in front of the mon's face, knocking him and several others back. Those that remained standing turned to see a slender woman with silver-white hair, and crimson-red eyes, wearing a black cowboy hat, accompanied with a black vest and a white, long-sleeved undershirt with the sleeves rolled up, exposing a rose tattoo on her left forearm. In her hands was an odd-looking stick-like weapon, which she was pointing directly at them. "Get in there, Bob," the newcomer called out, prompting an impressively large man, in what appeared to be in samurai armor, to leap over the woman and charge into the crowd. Tossing any unfortunate enough to be in his path, aside. Clearing a path for the silver-haired beauty to approach the boy. "Damn, did you do a number on the poor darlin'?" The woman spoke as she knelt down to check over the barely conscious boy. His blue eyes looking up her, pleading. "It's what the demon child deserves for killing our loved ones," one of the men stated, as he got back to his feet. Glaring at the woman and her companion. Others mumbling their agreement. "TCH. The silver-haired woman scoffed. And here, I thought those two junkers were idiots. You lot though, you take the cake. Whatever, you're just another demon-loving whore, just like that little blonde-haired bitch this thing is always hanging around with. And that ramen chef's whore of a daughter." The man spat out, causing the crimson-eyed woman to narrow her eyes in disgust at the man. "Maybe after we've gotten rid of that abomination for good, and teach you a lesson for interfering, we'll go re-educate those two bitches. Blonde one is still a little young, but hell, I'm sure she'll learn soon enough." Hearing this, a shadow fell over the woman's eyes. Lifting her left hand, she simply snapped her fingers without saying a word. Upon hearing the woman snap her fingers, the large armored man turned his attention towards the fool that had been spouting his nonsense and disgusting threats. With a swift movement that betrayed the large man's size, Bob had caught the man by his head and began to squeeze it, causing the man to cry out in pain, as the sounds of cracking could be heard, before finally, the man let out a scream of pain before it was immediately silenced. The rest of the bystanders could only stand by in horror, as they witnessed the man's head being crushed in the lone hand of Bob. "All right, Bob, time to take out the trash." The woman grinned. As the large man began to tear through the remaining mob members, the silver-haired woman secured her odd-looking weapon to her back and scooped up the injured boy into her arms and lifted him up. As she peered once more into the boy's blue eyes, she could see a swirl of emotions going on behind them. Fear and confusion being the chief among them, but also trace amounts of hope. But the one that stuck out the crimson-eyed woman's attention, was the look of loneliness. "Ka-san." The boy muttered weakly, causing the woman to smile sadly. "Yeah, I'll be your Ka-san," she replied with a soft smile as she gazed down at the young boy. Looking up, she could see that her companion had finished tearing into what was left of the mob that had ganged up on the boy. Most now lay in a bloody heap, due to the large man's handiwork, while the others had scattered in fear. "Come on, Bob, we're leaving," she said as she stood up straight. "Hospital. The large man spoke slowly. Don't think so. The woman sighed as she began to walk away from the scene. If the way these fools reacted to the child is any indication, I doubt he would get the help he needs there. We'll have Angela tend to him back at camp. Quote. Family. Miss Boy. Doubt it. He has the same eyes I had as a little girl. I reckon he doesn't have much of anyone to look out for him. She replied sadly. At this, Bob grunted in understanding. Having been with the woman for so long, he was privy to such personal information regarding his beau's, namely, how her parents would neglect her in pursuit of their own careers, leaving her to her own devices throughout her entire childhood. One of the main reasons the woman had pursued her current career. Stop. A small voice cried out from behind the duo, prompting both to turn and look. Seeing a small, blonde-haired girl no older than the boy in the woman's hands. I won't let you take him. I won't let you hurt him. Quote. And who are you? The woman asked, as the little girl panted in front of them. Clearly she had been running for some time, no doubt looking for the boy in her arms. I'm Ino Yamanaka, Naruto-kun's future wife. The blonde proudly proclaimed as she crossed her arms over her chest and stomped her foot. Now who are you and what are you doing with my future husband? Well, aren't you a little spitfire? The silver-haired woman chuckled. Name's Elizabeth Caledonia. Calamity. Ash, but you can just call me Ash for short. Everyone else does. That's a long name. The young girl stated. As to what I am doing with your little friend her, well, I'll be honest with ya, I plan on taking him with me and raise him as my own. Ash continued, earning a look of shock from the little girl. No, you can't. The girl exclaimed in a panic. If you take him, he'll never achieve his dream of becoming Hokage, and I'll be left all alone. Quote. I understand how you feel, little firecracker. The silver-haired woman said in a comforting tone. But you should know we just stopped a mob of idiots trying to kill your friend here. Evening threatening to do horrible things to you and another girl, daughter of a ramen chef in these parts. Quote. Ayame-chan. Ino exclaimed, a look of horror written across her face, as she was now worried about her other friend. We took care of those fools, so you need not worry about that. Ash reassured the girl. However, I reckon they are not the only ones in this village that think the same way. Thinking it would be best if I took the boy and raised him away from here. But, Ino began, tears forming in her small eyes at the prospect of losing her best friend. It's okay, Ino-chan. Naruto replied weakly, as Ash adjusted him in her arms so that he could look to his fellow blonde. I'll come back. You promise? I promise. He smiled. Tell you what, Spitfire. Ash commented, using her nickname for the little girl. I'll make sure you future hubby here writes you frequently. It will be up to you though, to make sure his other girlfriend knows he is safe. This earned a small blush from both blondes, not only at the insinuation of the boy being the young blonde's future husband, but also at the prospect of the slightly older Ayame being seen more than just a friend for the two of them. Pinky promise. Ino demanded, holding out her right hand with her pinky finger extended. Chuckling at the girl, Ash mirrored the action, wrapping her pinky finger around the girl's small finger. Finger cut off. 10,000 fist punchings, whoever lies has to swallow 1,000 needles. Ash finished the yubikiri. You better keep your promise. Ino narrowed her eyes defiantly at the woman before her. Or I will cut off your finger. You know, I like you firecracker. The silver-haired woman laughed. You may just make the perfect wife for the boy. At any rate, we should clear out of here before anyone else arrives. With a reluctant nod, Ino approached the woman and cupped Naruto's cheeks before leaning in and giving him a kiss on the lips. All the while blushing up a storm, before she turned and ran off. Completely embarrassed by her actions, though she didn't regret it in the slightest, which had only earned a chuckle from Ash. Come on. Let's clear out. The silver-haired woman stated, as the trio disappeared into the night. Naruto groaned as he slowly woke up. Bringing his right hand up to rub his eyes, shaking away the dream memory he had just experienced. His inner musing was cut short as a pair of slender arms wrapped around his torso, and pulled him closer to a feminine figure behind him. Bad dream? Ino inquired, as she placed a kiss on the blonde's shoulder, coaxing her blonde lover to lean back into her embrace. Naruto chuckled a little, as he positioned himself on his back, allowing Ino to lay her head on his chest. Her hand tracing along the tattoo he had on his right pectoral. An image of a nine-tailed fox sinking its claws into a crimson-colored sun. A clear reference to the massive criminal empire his mother had left to him before she returned west. Nah, just some old wounds that got reopened due to my talk with the old man yesterday. The blonde Jinchuriki replied, using his left hand to trace along the blonde woman's back tattoo. A skeletal dragon design, with the spine of the dragon running up along her own, stopping just at the base of her neck with the wings extending outwards, touching her shoulders before cascading down her back. Almost the exact same as the tattoo he had on his own back, with the exception of hers being more slender to fit her feminine body. I guess we would be the talk of the town after our sudden change yesterday. Ino giggled, remembering the reaction of their classmates from the previous day. Not to mention her own teams. So, what did you tell him? What we rehearsed. We hid our relationship for your safety, and even played a little guilt trip on the old man about how the idiots would react if the so-called demon showed any signs of becoming stronger. Came his reply, before he turned his attention to her. So, how did you parents take the news of you moving out? Well, my mother threw a fit. I can only imagine what she is going to do when she learns that I am with you, instead of that Aroga. NT asshole. Ino giggled as it was no secret that her mother absolutely despised her blonde lover and had been one of the girl's main antagonizers growing up over the years, constantly pushing her towards the Uchiha boy. Daddy, however, was still busy with the Hokage at the time, so knowing him, expect him to show up soon to, formally, meet you. Oh, I am so looking forward to you formally introducing me to your overprotective father. The Jinchuriki grinned in a teasing manner. Maybe I should regale him with tales of our escapades under his own roof.